Hello everyone! We are going to talk about energy, light, and pigments in our video today. So first of all, we have to go back to middle school and think about the law of conservation of energy that states that energy can't be created or destroyed. It only changes its form. So in photosynthesis, we're focusing on how energy changes its form from radiant or light energy to chemical energy that we're going to be able to use in our bodies. So organisms are divided into two categories based on how they get their energy. You're either an autotroph or you're a heterotroph. The word auto means self. So autotrophs are organisms that take energy from the sun and turn it into food. They can make food by themselves. And they do this via photosynthesis. Examples of autotrophs are plants, algae, some bacteria even. You may have heard of them in middle school as producers. Producers are autotrophs. They make their own food. They produce their own food. But then you have heterotrophs. These are organisms that cannot make their own food. The word hetero means different. So they have to consume their food from a different source, not themselves. These are herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and something we like to call detritivores. These are organisms that get their energy from dead or decaying materials. You may have heard of heterotrophs as consumers in the past because we have to consume things in order to get our energy. Humans are an example of a heterotroph. Now, all of this leads back to the sun. The sun is the ultimate source of energy for all life on Earth. Without the sun, nothing could grow on Earth, nothing would live. So the sun's energy is captured by plants and converted into chemical energy via photosynthesis. The herbivores then eat the plants to get at those chemicals inside the plant. Carnivores eat the herbivores. Omnivores eat plants and animals. So it's all like from, as a child, if you remember from The Lion King, like the circle of life, but it all starts with the sun. Now, this makes you think of something called an energy pyramid, if you've heard of them before, and this shows the amount of energy in an ecosystem. The bottom of the pyramid is where the most energy is, and at the top of the pyramid there's less energy, usually because there's fewer of these things. We'll notice this on the next slide when I explain it a little more. But if you notice, at the very bottom is the sun. The sun's energy is what feeds the energy for this entire energy pyramid. I've gone ahead and made our own little example of an energy pyramid here, just to break down all of our terms a little bit more. So at the very bottom you have your primary producer, or your autotroph. This is your plants, your algae, and your moss. Then above that you have your primary consumer, your herbivore. They're going to be eating the primary producer to get their energy. So this is like a rabbit, or an insect, or a cow. Now your primary consumer is going to be eaten by your secondary consumer, either a carnivore or an omnivore. Examples could be a snake, a coyote, a raccoon. And then at the very top of your pyramid you have your tertiary consumer, your apex predator. These usually don't have anything that eats them. Things like your great white shark, a bear, or a hawk. They can be carnivores or omnivores. So all of our consumers, the tertiary, the secondary, and the primary, are our heterotrophs, and the producers are the autotrophs. Now, if you think about Earth, when we talk about primary producers, there are tons of plants on Earth, all over the place. But then when we get up to our tertiary consumers, in comparison to the number of plants on Earth, there's not that many great white sharks or bears. And that's because we've lessened the amount of energy as we go to the top of the pyramid. There's more plants that contain a lot of energy. But then as we dwindle down, we're losing energy in the form of heat. Because every time we move, every time we do anything inside our bodies, we're producing heat as a byproduct. Same with all of the animals and the consumers. So we're losing energy to heat, and that's why it looks like a pyramid instead of a box. Every time we move from one level to the next, we lose a little bit of energy. Now this all kind of makes you think of a food chain, or in high school we like to call them food webs, because food webs are a little more realistic than just a food chain. A couple slides ago when I showed the sun to the grass to the zebra to the lion, that's nice, but lions eat more than zebras, and zebras are eaten by more than just lions. So food webs just show a little more realism to what's going on. And essentially they're showing energy relationships between organisms, similar to an energy pyramid, but we're more looking at which organisms consume what for their energy. The arrows point in the direction that the energy is going, or as I like to think about it, it's pointing in the direction of where the food is going, into the other organism's mouth. Now, we said that the sun is the source of all energy on Earth. So what is light? What is this light that comes from the sun? Well, light is photons, or small particles, that move in waves of different sizes. And the size of the wave, what we call the wavelength, determines the type of light that you see. High energy light has a very small or a short wavelength. It looks pretty crazy and erratic. That's this top one right here. And low energy light has a longer wavelength and it kind of looks a little lazier. That's the bottom one. Now, you guys may have heard of the speed of light. So whether you're a high energy light particle or a low energy light particle, you're moving at the same speed because the speed of light is constant. It just depends on what path you take